Hello.
Hello.
I have a little
My
bit
my desktop has frozen, so
under it. I have
I'm
a little
gonna
bit.
use the timer in the left corner for our thing at the moment.
I can set it up.
Yeah.
My lungs are slightly.
Either works. I'm just saying at 5 minutes we'll be going into the thingy. So how is chat? Because my laptop's still working, so I can still like do everything else. Hey, Hazel, been a while. This is WIP Wednesday.
It is. Present.
Oh.
Yes. Share.
She's getting our playlist going.
I am. I'm so good at this.
I have to have the air conditioner on for my desktop now because my poor desktop needs to be cleaned out. It gets so hot.
Okay, it is playing. Hypothetically. Hey, progress. I'm slightly dying because I got a cold that I felt slightly last week, but I wasn't sure. And then Monday, it wiped me out right before the stream. I thought it was a migraine at first. It was a head cold. That is just migrating like right here. Migrating. And then it became really shitty yesterday. And I basically laid down and read the whole day. And then my dad's like, you should probably sit up. So then I sat up and read the rest of the day. And feeling a bit better today. I left the house, went on errands with my dad, and picked up lunch, Burger King. Yeah. And so ready to write because that doesn't require speaking, and every word that comes from my mouth hurts. So that's how much I care about streaming for you guys.
I could have run it.
No, I'm good.
I'll just do most of our speaking.
How was
you need to rest your throat because you're going to be using it a lot next week.
I will. I'll be fine by then. I think it was like a 24 to 48 hour kind of cold, judging from how I feel right now versus how I felt yesterday. Is leaps and bounds better. So yeah. I feel much better. Oh, there's my library card. Nope, that's not a library card. I went to the library today because I'm going to read Naruto rather than watch it because
that's fair. There's a lot of filler that they don't keep.
Yeah, I don't love the English voice actor for Naruto. The voice that they chose, it's just, I know Naruto's an annoying like 12-year-old boy, but it just gives so annoying 12-year-old boy. So I just can't. And so when I was watching the Japanese version, the original, and then with subtitles, obviously. And then I saw like a TikTok about how they made the girl character like less her own character
Sakura
in the anime versus the manga. So I was like, screw it, I'll just read the manga. I'm like 3 pages in. I started from the beginning. I thought my library had like the first 5 or whatever, but we have the first one and then the 17th, and then like 40, and I'm like, well, that's not useful for me. So I'm gonna try a couple of my other library cards, but I couldn't find it, so I might just, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll alternate between reading it and watching the anime for when I can't find the manga for things, although I feel like I'll get whiplash. It seemed pretty accurate for the first episode, at least. A little bit. I don't really know.
I don't know. I know that in the anime, because I didn't get it in the manga, but I do know that in the anime, Sakura, like, do you care about spoilers?
No.
Okay, so Sakura, she like learns to be, or she like learns taijutsu, and she becomes like super badass at it. She like learns it from one of the three legendary Sanin, which are like super ninja.
Yeah. That's nice.
And then she's still regulated to the role of healer / support, and it made me so upset. So there's that. I don't know how it is in the manga though.
I mean,
don't think
healer and
it's
support
great.
is really important, but I
No,
do
she's
think it's
the
always
brawler. She became a
Is she?
brawler. She needed to be a brawler. A brawler
Yeah.
that could heal would be cool. But no, she's still
There's
like
something to
support.
herself. A self-healing technique.
I saw this movie, and bruh, in the movie, Naruto and Sasuke, they were being something. I was like, they only married women to have children so that they could have children together. Because like the entire time, the whole vibe is that Naruto and Sasuke are like, I'll protect you and the kids, and I'm like, what about your wives? Don't you care about that? So,
as long as the wives are on board for it, then go ahead. On
I
that
think
level,
the wives know. I think they know and they accept that their husbands are gay for each other.
That's okay then. All right, we're gonna head into the first sprint.
Yes.
And wait for everyone else will show up while we're in the first sprint, like they usually do.
Yeah.
They don't like our beginning ramblings.
Yeah, definitely not that YouTube just doesn't tell people until like 15 minutes in.
And we are done. Our first sprint of the day. First sprint. How did everyone do? I saw we had some people come in during that. Let's say hi to everyone. Hazelnut was here on time, but YouTube is rude. Sam, I cannot hear you.
I said YouTube is rude.
It is. We have I can't pronounce it. Yeah. Coming in at 41 minutes. Yeah, that is pretty good. Is that when YouTube let you know? Jessica, hello, I'm doing the lunch thing right now. But I'm hopefully gonna be doing it's done with that soonish. You did finish.
I think he was saying good God because it's such a long sprint. Welcome to WIP Wednesday.
That's what we do on Wednesday.
Yeah. Technically only the first one's 45 minutes though, so.
Yeah, the rest are shorter. Kelly said hi. Sam responded to Rue. Jessica finished feeding the child and is going to try and work a little and feed himself.
What?
And yeah. People work. What is work? Yeah.
I spent the first part letting my nausea medication finish kicking in, and then after that kicked in, I read over the last part of what I wrote. I read over my outline and then tried to figure out how to connect the two. Because I have a scene now that was not in the outline, and I'm like, now I got to get to this part, which is fine. I like the scene.
I spent my first 15 minutes of the sprint going over Fox's markups on my prologue and first chapter, and good feedback there. And then I went and added in a couple lines in chapter 2 because I forgot to establish something that's like kind of important for context, like what the sign of their house is, and I still haven't worked in. I figured out I'll work in a emphasizing how like fucked up it is that they're killing the son of their house. But I already have Jason, who's the main character in that chapter, being like, we can't let an 8-year-old on a hunt, so I'm gonna have someone else pick the fight about the griffin, about fighting the symbol of the house, killing it, hunting it down. But I don't know who that person is. And then I went to write another part of it. And I was kind of sitting here and I realized I want to come up, well, I have to name like a lot of things, like the name of the empire or like different kingdoms or villages and towns and stuff. I don't have names for anything. Really at all. And then I also don't have any like curse words or slang. But the characters would curse. Like there's a few points where I'm like, insert curse word here. So I went and I read a couple things about fantasy curse words and like some that work and some don't. And I'm wondering your guys' opinions on that. Because I've seen some that like do work, but I know it is a thing for them to be like, it's a joke that like in fantasy they're trying to find every single alternative other than just to say fuck.
My take on cursing in fantasy is just like, if it works for the world that you've built, then just do whatever you want. Like as long as it sounds like it fits within the dialogue of that world, then it's fine. Because yeah, a lot of people, they'll be like, oh no, historical accuracy, and like you can't use fuck. Fuck has been around since like people were getting hanged at the gallows and their heads chopped off. Like it's been around since the medieval ages. Yeah, they actually, like, nobody really has records or knows what it originally stood for, but it like but yeah, they would they would write fucks on like the wood for the people who, what are they called?
The oldest unambiguous use of the F word comes from the manuscript written by an anonymous monk in 1528 who scrawled "OD fucking Abbot" in the margin of a treaty by Cicero. Another early reported use is from a 500-year-old manuscript in Scotland where the word "fuck it" was used.
Yes, that's like implying that this was used in spoken language quite,
Yeah.
at least
but
time. So it's just like one of those things where some people are gonna be like pissy about it and then other people aren't. But as long as it like works.
But aside from fuck, like I can't use "god damn it" or anything like that because it's not a god kind of.
You can say "God's damn it."
Yeah, but I want to figure out how to say it other than just adding an S every time someone would say God. And they don't really, it's not a polytheistic society. They don't really do the whole gods thing. They have the dragons.
Is there like an important dragon in history?
Yes. So now I need to come up with those important dragons.
Okay.
There's the dragons that help establish the kingdom that becomes the empire.
Usually the workaround is just to figure out how curse words came to be, and then because like God damn it, comes back to saying, like the divine entity who has power, like condemn or damn this person, right?
Yeah.
So then like you think of what would be the equivalent of that in your world, even if it's not a 1-to-1, and then that's like, in Nordic ones, it's not like, Odin damn it or anything. It's like by Odin's beard and Thor's beard, shit like that. Like those are legit. So
yeah.
And it's like Thor's hammer sounds silly, but if you're thinking about Thor throwing their hammer at you, that's terrifying. So
Rue is over here. Deity, damn it. God's damn it.
Yeah, but that's like that's just 120 it. Like I said, not everything can be 1-to-1. You could be like by Dragon's Tooth and Claw.
Yeah. I need to name everything anyways.
Yeah.
Like the empire, like I want to do some sort of like basically derogatory term for like a scoundrel or like a snake, coming from the name of the original kingdom that became the empire because they're kind of shady and kind of took over everywhere. And like a couple other things like that. Yeah, I'm good for like substituting like curse words before. Like I do understand.
Yeah, we're saying like ideas outside of simply substituting, because that's the other thing. If you just substitute things, sometimes they can sound like even more out of place.
Yeah.
Which is why like the biggest thing I said was like was to make sure that it fits within your world building and within the dialogue and the vernacular of your world. Like as long as it fits there, then it makes sense. Because on the other hand, you'll like have a character who doesn't cuss at all around a bunch of characters who cuss or something, and then people will be like, oh, well, that's childish and stuff. Just like, no, some people just legitimately don't cuss. Like they just don't. So
but yeah, I have multiple like types of speech within, not languages or anything, but like levels of formal speech within the book, and I use that to like denote relationships.
There's a
stuff like
term
that.
for speech hierarchy.
Yeah. And so I've been my dad's drying off, and then he will join us. So I have some of that. So I want to like have like nobility curses and then like the common people curses, because I have, and then like Jason using common people curses and people being like, what the fuck? around it because it's not the curse words they're used to, but that's what he was exposed to as he was growing up, even though he shouldn't have been, because he's an imperial prince. And stuff like that. I don't know. Basically, I have world building to do that isn't like overarching world building, but more cultural kind of world building. Just like enrich the plot a bit. Aside from what I need, like have culture established that isn't just what I need for the plot to take place, but rather what I need for the world to be more than just like generic fantasy world number 3.
Yeah. That's like that's the other thing is if you start to break down the linguistics and then like fill it in and complete it for your world feels more original to itself and less just troopy.
Yeah. I also want to do that with like clothing. Sadly, in my book, they're not traveling. They're traveling in what is the original kingdom that branched out into the empire. So there's a whole bunch of cultures over here, but they're going from here to here. So there's not as many right there. Like it's like 6 days of travel too. And of course there's like some mixing in there, but it's not it's not as much as if they're like traveling to this culture, then that one, and that one. No, they're literally just like boop. A lot of it is taking place in the capital of the empire, which would be a mishmash, but I'm also like, would it be a mishmash or would it be overtly one thing? It depends on like overtly the original thing. It depends on what the vibes of this empire is, and I'm still kind of figuring that out. And part of that is like with the clothing, there's like a couple different cultures I want to pull from and like for the clothing of places, but I don't want it to be like, oh, your empire is like the British Empire.
You don't want it to be one to one.
Or
yeah, I'm doing something very similar. Whereas I want Moxie to be very noticeably like Nicaraguan coded.
Yeah.
But like I also don't have a Nicaragua, so.
I thought on Earth, just a magic Earth.
No.
Oh. I don't think we talked about that before.
Nope, it's not Earth. It's like, imagine if Earth is the base mold, and then I just threw out whatever I don't need, and then added spices where I wanted them.
Throughout Nicaragua, even though you have a character.
No, I have a Nicaragua.
Red flag. Yeah,
but I actually had a really, I had a really like, I had a something conversation with Chris where I was like, should I try to use Mayan instead of Spanish? Because technically Mayan would be more accurate, but Spanish would be more accessible. And he said, just go with Spanish. And he's like, it sucks, but it is what it is now. But also, honorific speech is the language systems that have varying levels like that.
Yeah,
very common in East Asian countries.
High-key inspired by all of the like books. Yeah, I'm saying that wrong.
Like Hegel. Oh no, you've been reading Chinese ones, so
yeah.
I don't know what the Chinese one is called. Only
I'm not using the actual. I'm being like this servant, like referring to themselves, like speaking in third person, kind of.
Yeah, I know.
More formal speech, and then yeah.
Yeah, honorific systems have varying levels. It's like there's respectful speech, informal speech, and then there's like they're like really complicated.
Hey, okay, we have my dad. I don't know what's gonna happen when I attempt that stage. Oh, he's not present at all.
Yeah, it's like there's there's polite language, and then respectful language, and then there's humble language, and then there's informal, or like the different levels of honorific language.
Papa, I muted you, so there's not the echo. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Hi.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
can you hear us?
Outstanding. Adjust this a little bit.
We were just
Also-
talking about. Go ahead.
This sounds so southern. I can't imagine you being in any other area.
It does
I would
sound very
say
southern.
this.
And that's not playing it up at all either.
No, just straight
When I
southern.
worked at the hardware store, every time somebody come in, they'd think that was from Mississippi. How y'all doing today? What can I help you with?
All right,
I
I
also
paused
love-
real quick just to go. Everyone, this is my father. He is joining us for some of,
Today.
if not the rest of the stream. I hear fun music coming from somewhere.
Oh, I'm quietly
Not
sitting in
me.
my treehouse.
I might just be going insane, or it's from the time. Yeah, it's from the timer on the side, on my side, so you guys can't hear it. 'Cause it's muted. We were discussing cursing and slang in fantasy stuff, and how I need to build up some of the cultural world building of my world, so I can have like slang and like know the clothing distinctions and like jewelry and makeup and stuff. But here's the kingdom that they're exploring right here, and here's the rest of the cultures, and they're going boop, 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 like 6 days travel, which is like some distance, but not a lot of distance in the grand scheme of things.
I think one of the secrets is to develop a cursing that's not real world, because that'll take you out of the story, but also have it not be so prevalent that it covers the story.
I disagree with that. I think you can have some modern day phrases in a fantasy setting and it just feel normal as long as it fits with the language and the setting that you have created. Because there are a lot of fantasy settings that just use modern day vernacular and it feels perfectly fine because everybody's using it, or like everyone uses it except like one or two characters of like a different race or culture. And
What's
then
an
they,
example of a like modern day curse word that you've seen in fantasy stuff that like fits well? Because everything I think of, other than
fuck, damn it, shit, ass.
I mean,
All the
yeah,
classics.
Yeah, the classics, the ones that have been around.
relate to like a god or something. I feel like is more.
I don't actually see. Generally, nobody uses God-related curse words unless it's like specific to that lore.
I'll see like by the gods a lot.
Yeah, but
But
that's like
Plural, you know.
Yeah,
that's plural, and again, that's probably been around older than all the other curse words.
yeah,
It's also not really a curse so much as that.
fair. It's more an exclamation.
Yeah, it's more.
Clutch your pearls. Yeah. All right, I paused our timer, so we're gonna go into our second sprint of the day. We can talk about what we're working on and stuff, because I realized I never actually asked you, Sam, out loud, or explain what we're working on.
Everyone knows I'm working on Save Her Soul, Chapter 7.
And talk about that afterwards. Are you good with that, Papa? Cool. All right, we're gonna.
I've been married for so long. I'm really good at doing what I'm told. So
All right,
that's
go
what we're doing.
go
That sounds
pull
like
up
a
the writing
fantastic
document
idea.
and stare at it and think about it and try and write some words. We'll talk about what we accomplish afterwards. Okay. All right, I'm muting everyone. Sorry about that. We had already started our break.
I saw the timer trip over. I'm like, oh, I have no idea what's going on. Sure.
No, that was me getting sucked into my writing and not paying attention. Let's see. I'm writing a big speech scene, which is, ugh. But I got 480 words written ish. Because I did some editing up above, but then I got 480 done on top of that. How did you guys do?
Well, in total, I've got 230 words today, but I'm like almost done with this scene, and it's been about a page, so doing good with the brain fog.
I managed to find the outline for that story I started working on a while back, and
The space one?
and
Nice.
got most of reading back through that, and played online to figure out a technology problem that kind of shut me down. How I could get around it. I realized that wait a minute, this is a popular thing, or it showed in a movie. I don't know if I want to do this. I went and did some research, and there's like 10 different high-end sci-fi novels that use the basic same thing. So it's spread around enough that there's I can still use it.
Real estate.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, that's not the one person's thing. That is a thing.
Yes.
It's a trope now. I can do it.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm writing this, the emperor, who we don't like, is standing up in front of a banquet hall giving a speech. And it just, I feel like it's a speech. He's talking a lot, saying things. And so I'm trying to balance between what he would actually say versus not just reiterating things that we already know, and not just having a chunk of him talking. So I have like other characters' reactions to what he's saying. And a lot of it is like
What I've
saying
seen. One thing I've seen done with like big banquety speeches like that is instead of like writing out all of the dialogue, you can have like the main character kind of like summarize, like, and then he started going on about like these things, and then your character's mind like drifts or like looks at the other people and stuff, so that you essentially still get the information across, but don't have to word for word put in the speech, and then you can like have the dialogue that the main character does hear either be like important things or like little hidden clues or something. And then the
reason I'm not like glossing over any of the speech, or at least as I am right now, is because the emperor is basically spouting bullshit that doesn't match reality of what actually happened, or is like twisting it to like make himself look good, and so that's why I haven't, or at least I'm wrapping up. It's not a very long speech, but like glossing. I typically when I have written things, it's like, oh yeah, the usual formalities and stuff, but we haven't really had any base level of what kind of speech the emperor would give.
Megalomaniac he is.
Yeah. So I want to show like how he interacts with his people rather than just like a one-on-one thing, like meetings with his sons or with like the evil mercenaries he hired. So like that kind of presentation that he gives versus the presentation he gives to the public, and that kind of contrast. So fun. All right, let's check.
I'm just writing a cozy coffee scene right now.
No, we're writing two very different scenes.
Very different.
The movie, Rue, what was that in relation to? I think that was relation to cussing. Literally the bard scene. I don't. There's the bard's the main character. There's multiple bard scenes from what I remember. The first thing that comes to Jessica's mind for a reference would be the Malice series by Steven Erikson. I have never heard of that. I think that's in reference to you talking about your world being like the Earth, but with everything taken out of it again. Nicaragua. I
Could
should
that be the cursing little talking about cursing in different places?
We talked about cursing, and then we also talked about like world building and cultures and stuff, and like we were talking about earlier at lunch, where I want to incorporate cultures.
Yeah, but I think that conversation was too much earlier for that comment to have been.
That comment? Maybe
Yeah.
that is. Jessica, let us know what that was about. Rue, LMAO, I have no idea what his reactions were to. I think that was Papa rolling up and making the wife comment. Being used to being bossed around. Hazelnut goes, I'm working on His Immortal Majesty, the 4th draft. What's that about? I do not remember, but I like the title. It's giving like
fantasy vampire.
urban fantasy vampire.
Yeah, that's what it's giving for me.
So mine's like the immortal like cultivator kind of thing, and then also majesty. So like that's where I am. But my head's usually there. Jessica is trying to work on. Is that French? Every time. Yeah, every time you say you're working on it, I'm like, Jessica's working on that, which is a vampire one, right? Sam?
No, it's
I don't know.
Some sort of. She had one type of monster, and then she was switching to another. I don't remember what she landed on, but I know that part of the inspiration was Le Bête du. Oh, I forgot the name of the place.
We're so good at this.
It made me think of the Rougarou, which is Louisiana's werewolf.
Okay. Oh,
the Loup-Garou?
Yeah. Loup-Garou.
I've heard of Lebet, something like in relation to monsters. But
Yeah.
Jessica got 273 words done. Hazelnut has no idea how many words they got done, but got lots of them and brushed teeth. That's good.
I mean, that's fine.
The last line that Jessica wrote is the last bathroom.
Not the last bathroom. I need to know context for that.
Yeah, me too. That was To Cursing in a Fantasy World. The Malice series by Stephen Erickson. And then
Vorlu?
Walou.
I'm Googling Vorlu.
Frantically translate.
Oh, okay. It just brought up now my entire Google's in French, I think. It looks like kind of like a werewolf. I saw the word like panther.
Loup means wolf. So.
Okay. Oh, can we translate to other languages? It's asking me to translate to other languages, but the base is French, so I don't know how to click those buttons.
In the old let's see this side, all the White Wolf books. That's where all the werewolf were all called the Garou.
Yeah, I too love White Wolf.
I think that's here, like they're about there. Yeah, right about that. I think that's all White Wolf stuff.
Yeah, our White Wolf stuff is in a tub over there.
I have not played that yet.
You should. It's, in my opinion, one of the best tabletops. The Underworld movie series took so much inspiration from White Wolf Publishing's world that White Wolf quite easily won a lawsuit against them. Or they either won it or it was settled out of court, but either way, it went so quickly. It's like, yeah, no.
It's like, you took inspiration. We did. Yeah, we
probably paid for all those great parties that White Wolf used to throw at conventions.
They would throw great parties.
Oh, like by invite only, but legendary parties at Gen Con and a couple other big cons. They're out of business now, so.
Yeah.
Jessica says some French things.
Je parle français.
Do you speak French, Sam?
I took French, yeah.
Oh.
I speak enough French that I could help French tourists at Disney World when they were looking where to park. So.
Wow, go you.
I'm rustier, but like my French teacher had apparently lived in France for a while, so he was very honest about the way we pronounce certain things.
Oh, that's good. My first
also
German
that is
tells The rest of them are kind of.
Also, that class is part of the reason I'm so confident about shitting on France's written language, because he was like, no, historically, most languages, when their spoken language evolves, so does their written. But the French were like so stubborn about their tradition that no, their written language has not evolved with their spoken language. So there are literally letters and stuff that used to be pronounced, but are not pronounced anymore. They're just still there because the French are stubborn. And that annoys the fuck out of me.
Well, they were still using High German for legal documents up until the 1900s.
France?
At least
No,
no, German.
Germany.
Oh.
Or the end of the 19th century, I
France,
should
he's
say.
a German.
France just really do what they want.
Fair. His Immortal Majesty is a queer vampire romance between a king who has turned into a vampire, falls in love with the adopted prince of vampires who is actually human. That sounds like it's gay. Is it gay? Because
I would assume.
Queer, so I would think so.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I forgot that. I glossed over that. Brain didn't even pick it up. Sorry, Pride Month. I'm failing you. That sounds very cool. And you guys nailed it with the vampire thing. Did you guys know it was a vampire already? Or Papa didn't, obviously. But
no, but vampire fiction has a very specific naming convention, and it is like unashamedly pun and specific. Like if there is a bar in a vampire novel, it is going to be something like The Last Bite or Bloody Mary or something. Just like it's going to be very specific. They're very bad at hiding.
When my mom and I were in Scotland a couple weeks ago, we went to like a pub called The Last Drop, and it was right where they used to hang people in the town square. So it's like the last drop of ale, but also the last drop of their life. And I was like, this is hilarious. They had little nooses, not little nooses. They had nooses in the windows. I'm like, this is great. Discovered I really don't like whiskey. I think it was whiskey.
It might have been Scotch.
Yeah. I don't think it was Scotch. I mean, it would make it to be Scotch, Scotland. I don't know. It's from Edinburgh, wherever it was, or from somewhere in Scotland. I don't know. If it didn't taste good, though, not my thing. I'll take my fruity little cocktails. Jessica's French teacher was an anomaly. He was an Irishman teaching French and Spanish who also knew Japanese and was teaching in the U.S. I would love.
My teacher was not French. He just lived in France for a while.
I had one German teacher who she had like a German accent when she was speaking, so I assume she is from Germany or grew up there, I think. Then one German teacher that just most of it was just writing the language, and we did not get along. So I was not good at like just the course memorization of stuff when we're not using it. And I said I didn't want to watch the movie Elf, and she took that personally. I don't know, but like that was the beginning of her grudge with me. And then throughout all of high school, or the rest of high school, the same German teacher, and he would assign things, like assign work. It was the first class of the day at 1 year. He would assign work, and then for us to do throughout the period, but it would only take you 15 minutes or whatever, and then he would just let you do whatever. But if you came up to him and were like, hey, can I get help on this? He would just tell you what the answer was.
So
that's the same guy who put you in the honors class because it was easier to do than to have.
Yeah, I had like wanted to step down in the level of German because it's like I'm not grasping this very quickly. And I was still in the honors class because I was the only person not taking honors, still taking German. And so he just moved me back up to the honors class. But he was like, I'll still grade you at an easier level. It's just easier for me if you're actually in the honors class. And I was like, okay. I guess.
My sister's German teacher also like played D&D and LARPed. And so there was like one day when he told the class, he was like, all right, I've got the substitutes work and everything set up for you, but I've got this really big LARP meeting, so I'm not going to be here. And he's like, so you guys have to be on your best behavior.
Nice. Wow. All right, our next sprint started.
Yep.
Get some work done. Yay. Whew. My dad will be back. He is doing dishes before my mother gets home, so she does the dishes as soon as she gets home from work. Are we on break 2? Are we on break 3?
Yes, we're on break 3.
Okay. What'd you get done?
I got some more of that scene written, and then I was like, I went back and added some things here or there in the narrative.
I got 380 words done, but I had to write a description of food, which is typically fine, but I had to write a fancy chef describing his fancy food, and I don't really know how the fancy food would be prepared. And typically, like, I can't imagine, I don't want to eat this food because of plot stuff. So I can't be like, oh, how would I describe this delicious meal? Because it's kind of fucked up. Yeah. They're eating a semi-sentient, like, or a sentient, I don't know. Anyways. And so I'm like, I don't want to think about eating this, but you know, what would it look like?
I will.
I looked up some pictures of, like, it's a griffin, like lion meat, and it looked kind of gross. And I was like, lion meat in a dish. Like, come on, how does this look when it's prepared? And so I decided on ribs, and I like ribs. And then I did, like, there's meat from the lion bit and then from the eagle bit. So I described that, and now I have to figure out how. My character can't eat it. It's covered in something he's allergic to. So he's like,
you should have like messaged me and been like, Sam, how would you describe griffin meat? I got you, boo.
Nah.
I don't care if it's sentient or not. As long as it's not a person, I'll eat it.
Kind of no.
Or imagine eating it. If it is not a human being.
Okay. Okay.
I am just not a cannibal.
That teacher that Jessica was talking about was also married to an English teacher, was a huge nerd. When he couldn't control the class freshmen, he would yell in Japanese and everyone stared at him too. It was crazy. Nice. And that were 281 words. How'd everyone what'd you get done, Sam?
I told you what I got done. You see how well she pays attention to me? Yeah, I wrote some more of the scene, and then I went back and added some of the narrative because I'm still in the habit of not putting Rochelle's nonverbal reactions to things.
You did not say this.
I said I went back and added things to the narrative.
Oh,
and then you started talking about your griffin meat.
Sorry, I'm really stressed over the griffin meat.
I will write so many lines for you, and you can just revise them as you want. Because I imagine that the lion meat's probably like tangy but succulent, and definitely like any part of the bird meat has got to be like tender and soft.
Yeah, I looked it up. People, when they cook lion, they cook it for like 24 hours. I'm like, okay, so the meat is soft and tender. And so I don't know. I wrote a little bit. Well, editing CB can add more.
Yes. But I'm saying that Sam just knew these things.
Okay.
And so I could have helped you, and you wouldn't have had to have such an internal struggle. You could just be like, Sam, I know you think of all the fucked up things to eat. So how would you describe this?
Well, now I know that. I have like my throat. I'm not going to talk for the rest of today. My
delicious in dungeon was like made for me. I am
delicious in dungeon.
They don't eat what?
Sentient things.
Not because Laios wouldn't. Because the rest of the group won't let him. Because they do have a conversation about that. They're like, well, what about demi-humans?
Yeah.
And the rest of the group are like, no, demi-humans are.
But they're definitely like, there's some higher thinking happening there. At least in my world. That's the fucked up bit. They don't know this at that point. But it's he can't eat it. And so the emperor, thinking that he's not eating it because it's like he didn't want to kill it in the first place, is like ordering him to eat, but he's like, I literally can't eat this. Like he's gonna try and explain he's allergic to it, but like allergic to the tree nuts, the nuts in the glaze on the meat. But the emperor's not gonna. I need to phrase it in a way where the emperor needs to like stop him from explaining, because if he explained, then it'd be like really obvious that like the emperor's kind of crazy. But like it's Jason isn't eating it for like a reason, like a political statement. He literally cannot eat it or he will die. And Jason's kind of also in shock.
Dad, this isn't about politics. This is about my health, which should save me from having to worry about the politics.
Yeah, because when he was young at a like banquet kind of thing, he ate tree nuts and he almost fucking died. And it was like a big thing. And he's kind of like in shock that his father is like,
don't you remember
not
when
remembering this at all? He's like, no, I can't eat this. But I have to write that out so it doesn't feel like kind of, I don't know, forced, or like I always get annoyed when someone can explain a situation like with like 3 words and
someone else doesn't let them.
Yeah.
And
but I think the emperor he is being unreasonable by not letting Jason explain. I think that'll be fine. Yeah. I just have to make it clear that like Jason is trying to explain like I'm allergic, but I don't know if he has the word allergic.
You can just use the word allergic. It's fine.
I don't know when that word became a thing. I know, but
please tell me when in history your story took place.
No, but like, does the word allergic like come from something? I would just be curious, because it would be easier just like last time I ate nuts. I don't know.
Stuff with that, it's generally easier to just go with the modern day word than to try to make up your own word, because it's about communicating to your audience.
Yeah.
But I am looking at, I accidentally typed in allergic to peanuts, not allergic word origin, because somebody was climbing on me. It comes from alos, which is Greek, and allergy, which is German.
I'm looking at
and energy.
It was coined by Australian pediatrician Clemens von something in 1906, who derived from the Greek words allos, other, and ergon, reaction, and used to describe the altered activity of the immune system and otherwise harmless substances.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's for future CB to figure out in like 3 seconds.
You can just put allergic for now, highlight it, and then come back to it.
Yeah.
Revision CB's decision.
Yeah.
Allergy synonym, not syndrome. Synonym. Hypersensitivity. That one could work. Aversion. I have an aversion. Hostility. I have a hostile aversion. I would have a character use that one. Not have hostile aversion be like the official thing. That's just what the character is like. I have a hostile aversion to this food. So hostile. It could kill me.
I think he might mention like my mother or something like that, and the emperor to be like, "Shut the fuck up! I don't want to hear about your mom. I fucking hate that bitch. That's why I killed her." He wouldn't say that, but he would basically go, "Shut the fuck up," or "Do not talk back to me, boy," or something like that. I don't know.
I will say, like when you were like, I don't know when that word was made. I found that like the reason I said it the way I did is because I found the when irrelevant, but the how and the why.
Yeah,
I do agree with you. Those were very relevant. So
part of it is so it doesn't feel anachronistic to the world.
Yeah.
We need
Like-
another term that's not anachronistic, because anachronistic is, you know, like specific for it feels out of time with the world. Whereas like I think a lot of things that actually throw people out aren't anachronistic so much as they just feel out of place in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't know
Yeah.
that anachronistic only refers to time.
Chronistic is time,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. Hold on, I'm fact checking myself.
Okay.
Anachronistic meaning belonging to a period other than that being portrayed. Belonging or appropriate to an earlier period, especially so as to be seen conspicuous, old-fashioned. Yeah, like the term originally was used to call people old-fashioned. They'd be like, "Oh, well, you're so anachronistic. Get with the times." But yeah, like chronistic has chrono, so that whole thing is time. So yeah, literally, like a lot of the stuff. Like when anachronistic started being used to refer to like media, it was when like movies would use something that is like, oh well, that thing wouldn't have been made until such and such, right? And most movies were set on Earth, so it was anachronistic. It was out of the timeline with when the movie was taking place. But then, like, you know, fantasy novels and stuff, and people started applying it to that. And every time I hear it, and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, well that's anachronistic," and I'm like, "Well, it's technically not, because we don't know like what the technology level of this world is, and
Yeah.
when things like that could have been made." But my brain just always like because of the way my brain works with certain words, it like auto translates them. And so
Yeah.
my brain's always going anachronistic out of time. And I'm like, that's not how they mean it. So we need another word that's like anachronistic, but for everything.
Okay.
Mainly so my brain stops doing that.
I just need to figure out. I wrote a the Emperor's eating the griffin meat, and I'm just trying to get the vibes of
The juice.
Delanor, yeah, from Lord of the Rings.
I can't watch that scene. He eats so
It's
disgustingly.
disconcerting. Oh my god. But yeah, that's the vibes I'm trying to communicate.
After this stream, remind me to tell you about the scene that made me stop reading a book 2 days
Wow.
ago. 3 days ago?
Okay.
I don't know. But it made me stop reading it. It's the reason it took me a day longer to finish that book.
Wow. Yeah. But that's what did I say that Hazelnut wrote 281? I feel like did you write two? Oh, I just said
Yeah, you
that
said Hazel wrote 281, which awesome, Hazel.
one. Is it Hazel or Hazelnut? Is your name Hazel and you do Hazelnut? Because that's adorable.
I think so, yes, but I just shorten it to Hazel. Either way. You could give him a hazelnut allergy.
I could, but then that would make my heart sad.
That's fair.
Because then he can't have Fantasy World Nutella without a healer like right on standby, just like ready to like blast him with the most powerful healing spell. Like this is usually used for when someone's guts are spilled over the ground. We'll use it because your throat's gonna close up real fast, buddy. Yeah. Well, he's gonna eat it. I forgot about that. Was the rest of the scene? He does eat the griffin.
Sorry, I'm reading things. I'm reading things about anachronism, because apparently that's the term for it. And like one of these things that says like sometimes anachronisms are like good and sometimes they're intentional and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I think of that one A Knight's Tale. That one was great.
Oh my god, that is a great movie.
When everyone's at the stadium playing "We Will Rock You."
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite things.
So fun.
This
I watched
is
that a few years ago.
See, I grew up with stuff like that, so I'm all like, mix it all. Unless you're trying to write a historical. If you're writing a historical, I'm sorry, the fandom will come for you. They care about their historical accuracy.
Hazelnut responded. My name is actually Nicole, but I call myself Hazelnut online because an old friend told me I'm writing them out. Hazelnut, you're more than welcome to call me Hazel.
What?
That way we're both right. All right, now it's time for our wrap-up sprint. 15 minutes to finish your thought or your scene that you're working on.
What did I just move from?
And yeah, be back in a few.
You ever do that thing where you're trying to swipe a notification away and you accidentally click on the video? That's what I do. Can repeat.
That is the end. Aren't you glad you got so much writing done, Papa?
You know, you do what you get. You do what you can, right?
Exactly.
Hey,
Well,
you
I will
found an
say it was
outline.
nice.
That's pretty big.
What's that?
I said you found your outline. That's pretty important.
And I'm going to take that as a win today. I took it, I read it, and it wasn't awful. I wasn't embarrassed by it. So
Woohoo!
I think it's a great first day back.
Definitely.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta be okay with what you get done because life is life.
Absolutely.
I got about
Go
a
ahead.
page and a half, and I think within another paragraph I can transition to my actual outline point.
I wrote 307 words that sprint, which feels wrong because it was only 15 minutes. And I wrote 380 the sprint before, which was half an hour. But whatever.
You were also doing a lot of research the last sprint
Yeah.
and overcoming
The
an obstacle.
I had to describe what a griffin looks like when it's prepared to be eaten. But in my world, griffins are like this close to being sentient. Yeah, and I'm like, that's kind of like a person if it was a giant lion eagle.
I told her she should have DM'd me. I already had a list of descriptives I would have used.
Oh,
I'd eat a griffin. I don't care. Oh.
All right. Let's see. How much did I write?
How much
This
did you write?
live stream, I wrote 1,167 words,
wow.
Nice.
and I'm so close to the fun scenes. Not that these scenes aren't not fun, but I'm just really
Okay.
excited when I can get out of the Capitol and people can start speaking like normal fucking people again. Because I'm going in between Jason and Rye, and Rye's like doing the classic like farm boy from the country heading to the Capitol, meeting a bard on the way, and like da 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 da. Wow, look at the great wide world. And then Jason is like political everything, like putting on masks and like having to like hide all of his true intentions, and like Loki getting poisoned by like nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts now. And I'm like, they're living two different like arcs.
Two very different lives there.
Ryan is not having a great time. His mom's in a coma, blah, blah, blah. He found out he's not human and he's been lied to his entire life. But aside from that, there's a lot going on. He does get to go on a adventure with his like older brother / uncle figure. So he's doing fine comparatively to Jason, who's not doing fine. But I'm excited to, once I finish this chapter, then I get to go writing a Jason chapter, a Rye chapter, a Jason chapter, a Rye chapter, because it's, which I'm excited about, being able to switch back and forth between the two of them, because like I haven't written a Rye chapter in months now because I had to go back and do all the Jason work and everything. So I'm excited for that.
I think I told you about that in the outline where I was started outlining, and my outline was already going, I'm going to start going this direction, even though you intended on going that direction, because one of my minor characters was more interesting than one of my proposed main characters. And I'm like, ooh, okay, I need to change the main character now because things.
I
Because
feel that.
story,
Plot-wise, Rochelle has to be my main character. But we all know I like Moxie better.
yeah.
Look forward to her chapters.
I think Rye is still my main character, but there's definitely a Jason's getting his time in the limelight with him being the POV. Also, he can't be like the seemingly stoic and serious when every time we go inside of his head, he's like, fuck, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this. I want to go home.
It's great though, because it's going to be such a contrast when you see in his head
like,
versus.
He's supposed to look very regal and like stoic all the time, and like that, which is, and like, oh, he doesn't feel things, but internally he's like, but externally he's like, I cannot express this, so I'm just gonna sit here quietly. And like his like big grin would be like a small smile, and he's like, this is just neutral is his happy place. But
It's like this short I saw earlier of this British guy preparing a crumpet for his German wife. And she like takes a bite of it and it like zooms out or zooms into her head and there's like this explosion and all these other things. But then like it zooms out and he's like, so what do you think of it? And she goes, well, it's not disgusting. And then like, he like kind of reacts. He's like, okay, well, wait till you try like this, and that. And then it zooms in and she smirks just a little. That's what Jason reminds me of now.
he's having. Also, I want to like Fox, who's reading through chapter 1 of the prologue and everything, pointed out that apparently every time I introduce a character, I say how old they are. In general, like I give their age range, which is a thing with script writing because you have to.
Yeah.
And those were like the chapters that I translated from the script, still in that area. And now I'm like, do I? Because when you see someone, one of the first things you notice about them is their age. At least I do.
Depends on how old you are and how old they are.
Yeah.
Like, generally when I go to conventions, I don't really think about my coworkers' ages unless they seem a lot younger or a lot older than me. But otherwise, I don't really think about it at all anymore. But when I was younger, I did try to clock everybody's age.
I will say on the other side of the spectrum, I sometimes will look at some of my coworkers and realize, and Charlie's heard this before, that oh my goodness, this kid, I get T-shirts older than this kid.
Yeah, Chris is like that with some of his coworkers too. I have that like realization sometimes when I'm talking to people, but not when I first see them. Because like when you're talking to them and then they say something and you're like, your brain just pauses. You hear that record scratch and you're like, how old are you? It's like
I'll be like in their mid 40s or like their late teens or their like mid 30s. And
Yeah.
Fox is like, yeah, you do this every single time you introduce a character, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I think you can keep doing it, just change up the way you do it.
Yeah.
Or change up the order of things. That way it doesn't become repetitive.
How old characters are.
Well, I feel it's important for me, especially when reading fantasy, to know a general age range of the characters because I've read a lot of questionable age gaps in romance. So now I need to know. I'm like this is important for me.
I have two of my characters are just like my fan cast for them when I was writing the script. I'm like, it's Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. It's just this random beautiful couple that's like pretty chill to be around. Just two of the characters. They're just there. I don't know why. I was just like, yeah, like what would they look like? Oh, they would look like that right there. Those two famous people. Because I also think it's funny. Yeah. I am going to go not speak for like 24 hours after this. I'm slightly dying.
Just gonna curl up in a hole. It says do not disturb until tomorrow. Please text all
One hole has a little teapot nearby.
Yeah. Like a
with
spigot.
a message that says text if need me.
Yeah.
Not accepting voice memos right now.
I don't do phone calls. Email only. But I'm pretty happy with what I got done today. I'm at 13,990 words for the book in total. I'm on chapter 30, but I'm like there's 3 more pages after that is already written. So there's 33 pages in total, and that's just normal 8x11. Sam, I know you keep your stuff in like how big it would be on an actual book, but then I can't print it out. So
yeah, don't do that if you're printing it.
Yeah.
I don't print mine, so that's why it works for me.
Well, I don't print mine anymore, but it does bother me sometimes when I have a bunch of lines that are just like one sentence, when it's like dialogue or something, or just like short descriptions, where it's like one line. I'm like, this looks terrible. I'm like, I know they'll all be squeezed in when they're on an actual book, but
that's part of the reason I do it though, so that visually I see how it will look in like a paperback.
Hmm.
But that gives you all sorts of tiny pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, here, I can show. I don't mind. Give me a sec. Everybody, you'll get a sneak peek.
Cut off. Can we put Papa in the little like entertainment box?
Yeah, I'll move them in a sec. Hold on, let me plug my mouse in.
Oh no, we lost Papa.
This is for those who stayed on today's special extra WIP Wednesday. You get to see a thing.
The two people in chat. And people will watch it on the replay.
We don't need
One of
plugs.
those probably Fox.
What's that, Papa?
We don't need plugs.
Hey. My keyboard and my mouse are. Although they did run out of battery, and I like not long after I got them, and I was like, "What the hell?" Because then I couldn't use my computer because I didn't bring my plug-in ones, and so I had to go out and buy batteries to play
I think I
Baldur's
had
Gate.
this for like a year and a half, and I charged it once.
Wow.
It's weird, but I'll take weird.
I don't have enough USB ports for my camera, my mouse, and my keyboard, so I can only do 2 out of 3.
Better, 3 ain't bad.
But yeah, so this is like, well, this part's my note, but so this is like the size of my paper.
Width-wise, not lengthwise, obviously.
No, lengthwise, it's hold on, like that.
Yeah.
I just do this so it's easier to read while I write.
I
But
like
yeah,
the
so
popping onto a next page. It's satisfying for me.
that's fine.
A little sense of accomplishment every time it goes tab down. I don't really know how it works. Sometimes I'll
But
be
yeah,
typing,
then,
like, be bumping back and forth between the pages. I'm like, you good? Like, we can just go to the next one. It's fine. Or
and
if the paragraph is small, it'll just bump the whole paragraph down. But the paragraph is large, so split it in half and put it above.
so I don't have to like go back and forth between an outline document. I just have my outline here for this section, and then I just delete it as I get to points. So it shrinks as I go.
I need my outline on a separate document, and I would be able.
No, I still have it on a separate document. I just
don't delete stuff because I'll forget what happens in the book by the time I'm like.
No, I still have a copy of my outline on a second document. It's just.
I've done that for some things before when I'm just like quick writing, like for assignments at school or something. I'll have the outline.
I'll add them in a second. Don't worry. No, that was me.
The document. And I think we can still hear you, Papa.
La la la.
Yeah, or at least I can.
And it's fine.
Well, let me know if you can hear me down the hall.
He is like right there.
There we go. Okay.
You said that there we go. Nothing happened.
You'll see.
Oh.
You wanted him in the box. Now he's in the box. I had to make the box.
Slightly dying. It's fine. All right. That is the end of our stream. Everybody, thank you for watching this much, this far, these hours. So long, farewell.
Say I do. Goodbye.
Next week we will be on Sam's channel.
No, we won't.
Next week we will not having WIP Wednesday. The week after that we will be on Sam's channel because Sam and I will be working a convention in LA.
We will be at Anime Expo. Make sure to stop by for 20% off on DVDs and manga.
Cool.
Might give you a little extra discount if you find me specifically.
Not me. I don't give discounts.
She's not allowed. I am.
It's my first time working there. So yeah, Sam doesn't have a video on Monday, but all of our links down below. And if you're here, you probably know that by now. Bye bye. Bye bye.